6911758. This message will repeat. It doesn't add up begins momentarily. Please ensure arms, legs, and headphones are secure at all times. 6911758. This message will repeat. It doesn't add up begins. Please ensure arms, legs, and vicinity are secure at all times.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of It Doesn't Add Up, the Conspiracy Theory podcast. I'm going to be one of your hosts, Bill Stevens.
And I'm Tori Stevens, his sister.
So this is a new venture for us. Previously we had done a radio show, we played music.
We also do some video game streaming. Don't want to say previously, because we still actively do these things, but...
Yeah, that's on hiatus, I guess.
We pursue different projects, different times, depending on what we're most interested in, how things are going. We both have jobs and we're both students.
So we decided to branch out into a podcast, mostly because we talk a lot, like, to each other.
During the radio show.
During the streams. And then whenever we're not streaming and when we're together, we're just talking about dumb crap. So we were at a show, I guess that was January or February of this year.
I think so. We haven't gone to too many shows this year.
I think it was either January or February. And we were waiting for, like, in between sets for a band to come on. And for some reason, we started talking about 9/11 conspiracies. While we're just and it's loud and there's people around us, so we're like almost kind of shouting, but not really, like that.
Yeah.
You do the thing at a show. So.
No, we were driving on the way there.
No, we were at the show.
Before that, we were talking, because that's how we were talking about the phrase loose change.
Right, which is the 9/11 conspiracy documentary.
And we were driving across this one bridge. I remember it now. I remember the moment perfectly. Because I nearly crashed the car because we were like, oh, it's loose change because it doesn't add up.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And then it didn't leave us. We were still talking about it while we were waiting between acts.
Yeah, so it's always something that I've been interested in, like conspiracy theories and like the weird things people believe. So it's like, let's do something with that idea. Like, let's do something with that interest. So we decided to do this podcast, and we decided to do it like a few months ago, and we finally had a chance to prepare and sit down and actually do it. So, but what we didn't want to do was go in like guns blazing. Like, we didn't want to start with 9/11 conspiracies, or even like just the tragic stuff, like the Sandy Hook shooting, or all the
stuff that shouldn't be.
Yeah. So I started looking for something a little lighter, a little, I guess, fun, or like silly or something,
Less, not that deep.
Yeah, exactly, because you could spend...
You're not going to offend anyone by talking about the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no hard feelings here. There's no death.
No.
Nothing.
So this is how we're going to start. Who knows if we'll eventually get into the serious stuff, or we'll try to keep it light. I'm not sure yet.
Maybe touch upon some Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, stuff like that.
We watch a lot of documentaries, and we'll probably take inspiration from that. Like, that's like my exclusive Netflix category.
Yeah.
Documentaries, Wikipedia surfing, some of our hobbies.
Yeah, Wikipedia is crazy. You just go down a hole and you start looking up weird Satanists and cults. I love looking up cults.
All those added links. I mean, that's Italian journalism. You got to add the recommended pages. Just keep going.
Yeah. So I started looking up I don't want to say whimsical, but like lighter stuff. And so I was like, Paul McCartney's still alive, things like this. And then I found...
Paul McCartney is still alive. You mean John Lennon?
I mean, no, yeah, John Lennon's still alive. Paul McCartney was killed, and the guy that currently says he's Paul McCartney is a double. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Who knows? We might get to that. I don't know.
Get into that.
Yeah. So then I found this subgroup of people that not only don't believe that the moon landings were fake, they believe the entire moon is not real, and it's been a hoax perpetrated throughout the ages. and I thought this was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. So that's what we're going to get into today.
I think we're going to start off with the idea that the moon is actually a hologram, which would be interesting considering the moon has been around since before electricity.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into that.
Some of the arguments these people, this one individual in particular who will take up the bulk of the episode probably.
Because he had the most to say, and we had the most to rebuttal with.
Yeah.
Reboot?
I guess rebuke would be the...
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into this.
Yeah.
So this fella, I found this site. He goes by the name the Mad Revisionist. And you can find his site. It's revisionism.nl. I'm not sure what .nl is for, but anyway. He's got this whole webpage, and the title is The Moon, a Propaganda Hoax. And he thinks he's doing an expose here.
No credibility, by the way.
No.
Whatsoever.
We'll use the terms article and source, just the loosest definitions of those words.
The sources that your teachers said doesn't count. Like,
yeah.
Nothing that you'd ever use in a paper.
These sources don't actually have sources themselves, really. So, but the way he begins this whole thing is just fascinating. Like his tipping point to where he had this eureka moment that the moon is fake, I think is the most insane and beautiful
it's a
piece of
national
work.
Treasure kind of a connections.
Let's just get into this. So he begins, quote, "In 1995, the American Historical Association, in an attempt to stifle revisionist scholarship, marked the 50th anniversary of the defeat of Nazism with a resolution calling on scholars to, unquote, and within a quote, initiate plans to now study the significance of the Holocaust. This, however, was not enough of a blow to free academic discourse for the enemies of truth." I still don't know what that sentence means, but the president of the AHA, William Lechtenberg, was asked why the resolution did not go so far as to explicitly recognize the Holocaust as a fact of history. He answered that for a group of historians to say that there had been a Holocaust was tantamount to, quote, an organization of astronomers saying there is a moon. Now, this quote, this guy makes this enormous leap. He completely misunderstands this quote.
Yeah.
He heard this quote and he thinks, oh, the moon can't be real. So, what you can infer about our revisionist here is that he doesn't believe in the Holocaust either.
Yeah, he's just saying that there's a Holocaust also means the moon's real, you know?
Right. The quote, he's saying, yeah, of course there was a Holocaust, of course there's a moon. It's things that you don't have to say. The sky is blue. It's just statements of fact. So this dude just doesn't believe the Holocaust, doesn't believe the moon is real. And this is where we begin. And then he goes on. What, in other words, was he trying to hide? He's hiding nothing. He's using a turn of phrase. It's irony. It's this guy is taking things so literally. It was then that I embarked on my research, which has led me to this day when I can confidently make the following assertion. The moon does not exist. As I realize this revolution may appear shocking to the average reader, allow me to repeat it. The moon does not exist. This is no lie. Until recently, I too believed in the traditional establishment view of the moon. I can't. He's probably not being poetic there, but the way he uses view, I think it's kind of interesting. Anyway, but any thinking person, untainted by the biases imposed on us by the controlled media, will have no choice but to reach the conclusion I did once faced with the facts described in this account. So he's going to go on, and he outlines for the reader here 12 arguments for why the moon isn't real.
He's going to start off with pretty basic stuff here, because the first argument is you can see it.
You can see it, it's there. It's got to be real,
and,
right?
I mean, his belief is basically that, seeing is not believing, because
just like the Keebler elves.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the slogan? Eating is believing?
Yeah.
The Keebler elves?
Yeah, that's the Keebler elves.
Yeah.
And this is basically the whole, no, you're seeing a hologram argument. I mean, it goes a little more in depth there. Basically, yeah, he says, how do you know what you're really looking at? Could be a hologram. And then he goes on to say it could be a large, crudely painted balloon held in place by helium
I just
and
love
propelled by tiny sails and rudders.
I love that so much. If you just want to repeat that again for me, because it's glorious.
A large, crudely painted balloon held in place by helium and propelled by tiny sails and rudders, which is why it moves across the sky so slowly.
Who would take the time to fill balloons and like this weird Da Vinci contraption?
No. It's not multiple balloons. It is one singular, crudely painted balloon that has lasted through the decades. Has someone been replacing this balloon?
It's so crudely painted that it's got like incandescence and and nobody can see the tiny sails or rudders. Like, what is he talking about?
And because helium totally just holds things in place.
Right? Yeah, a balloon never loses. It's
air. Yeah, what kind of balloon is this? Are we talking like are we talking about what?
A hot air balloon,
Are we
perhaps?
talking about one of those foil balloons that doesn't pop? Because, maybe he has a point here. Or is it a rubber balloon? Because, I think it would be easier to crudely paint something that has foil because those are crinkly. But they don't ever pop until something interrupts them.
He calls it crudely painted. It's crudely, but he said before he believed that it was convincing enough. Like, even he was fooled, but yet it's just this slapdash, weird, Mary Poppins, chitty chitty bang bang.
Propelled by tiny sails.
Yeah.
Where are these tiny sails? Is that where the dark side of the moon is?
And we can track the moon. How does the coordinates of this weird airship, how are those plotted out? How can you control it?
They say they ingeniously concocted the idea of cycles of the moon, and as their resources increased, we were able to create the illusion that the object in the sky actually went through such changes. But my question is, what is the point? Right, arguably, you could say that about this entire thing, but what would the phases of the moon?
Is it just a good goof? Is everybody just a really good joke?
For the lulls? What? To make their hoax more plausible to early superstitious societies. Are you talking about the Salem witch trials here? People talking about, I would love to see some like witch hunter person being like, you know what? Witches created the moon. I would love to find some sources. We didn't, unfortunately, but I would love to see that. Yeah, they tried to say they arranged for these cycles to coincide with the months of the year.
Or the months were created in response to witnessing the cycles of the moon. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
That doesn't benefit their hoax. Why would that be true?
I don't know.
The moon's not real.
It's a chicken and the egg thing. Which came first, the moon or the months?
You gotta ask the Mayans. Why did the Mayan calendar?
Or what's his face? Gregorian calendar.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Like beginning this way. Like he brings you in.
And you could just immediately tell. Just the fact that this whole thing, there's no science here at all. But like here,
he had something. He went into gravity. I did not get into it because
wasn't worth
it. Really wasn't. No.
Basically denying.
But we'll actually get into we'll touch on that later on.
His next point basically is that but don't all qualified scientists and astronomers agree that there's a moon?
His point here is such a non-point. It's basically all qualified scientists say that the moon is real because if a scientist were to come out and say that the moon is fake, they couldn't be a qualified scientist. That's his whole point.
Is that like a Galileo saying the Earth wasn't what everything revolved around and they burned them? We're gonna burn you if you say the moon's fake.
That's basically his whole thing. Yeah, that's the whole point of number 2. Number 3 gets into something you just mentioned. But who could or would perpetrate such a hoax? And he just goes on. First of all, the various secret societies and religious orders to which the scientists are responsible for propagating the moon hoax have belonged from the beginning. So he must be like one of the few people that believes that science and religion are best buddies. What?
Yeah, I don't.
What?
I don't.
The scientists report to the Pope now? What? Like, what is his Templars? Like, what?
I don't.
One can easily trace the history of this deception through the Templars, the Rosicrucians, who I tried to do. I didn't get into, but the Illuminati and the Masons. So all the big players, really.
There are no connection between any of these, and none of them are secret societies or religious order. Okay, some of them
The
might be.
Templars were religious.
Yeah. But the
Freemasons
Illuminati and the
yeah.
Freemasons are not.
They kind of were the Masons.
If you can list them, they're not a secret society.
Right.
Like, they're not the resistance during World War II. Like, no.
And so he believes Copernicus and Newton were in on this.
Oh, I have a correction to make. See, I said Galileo was the one burned. It was Copernicus who was burned.
Galileo was in prison, though, wasn't he?
Yeah. They didn't like scientists.
Nah.
Which is why this would be faulty again.
Yeah. And then he ends here with, to this day, universities and government agencies, such as NASA, are full of scientists, quotes, scientists, of this kind. He's got a bone to pick with NASA. He does not like NASA at all.
Stop funding them.
Holy God.
Stop funding their fraud.
He goes on. Many other governments and institutions have been co-opted over the years, to the point where today belief in the moon is so nearly universal that it holds incredible sway over public opinion in our country. What? So, if you say the moon's real, you're making some kind of political stance? Grass is sometimes green, maybe it's brown. Like, what? God. And so...
You can't even, you're just
No, it's just... Number 4.
I don't know. I don't even want to skip it. I just like...
You don't even want to...
I don't want to skip. I just want to say, like, this still indirectly says, like, who? Because, like, how long has this been going on? NASA is less than 100 years old.
Yeah.
Like, who? Like,
it's just all governments, all religions have been perpetrating...
he's saying that the Illuminati and the Masons, they've all been in on this secret hoax together.
Okay. Let's just, for the sake of argument, agree with him right now. The moon's fake. It's a hoax. All these governments, all these institutions, all these religions have been, keeping this secret. How many people is that? That's millions of people. And he's the one that's discovered it. There's just this handful of people that have spoken out against the evil mafia of... Well,
I mean, like what they're saying. If you say that it's not real, you can't be a real scientist. Maybe this guy is
because
a begrudged fired NASA worker, Maybe he's actually
you might be onto something there.
Perpetrating.
Maybe he always wanted to be an astronaut.
He's leaking us. And you know what? He's coping. He's coping, I never got to the moon, and that's because it's not real.
Yeah, there you go.
Let me go.
What's that quote? Like, you look up into the sky and we want to see ourselves or something, and, like, we just see the vastness of space. Like, just the nihilistic nature of that just broke him when he realized it was all for naught.
I mean, I was thinking of the quote, like, shoot for the star, or shoot for the moon and you'll land among the stars.
Yeah.
And there's that quote where it's like, actually you'll die or something, because it's like, I don't know.
He doesn't get into this, but what does he think of the sun? And the other, like, stars. What about the other celestial bodies?
Because, I mean, technically, isn't the moon kind of...
can't we sometimes see Mars from Earth, without a telescope? Like, like the weird shifting...
It's just the moon that's fake.
Okay, it's kind of a spoiler here. It doesn't mention eclipses at all.
No.
What's going on there? Sun interacting with the moon.
Or ocean
Because,
waves.
of course, if you went to grade school, you know that the moon is illuminated because it's light from the sun reflecting off the surface.
Otherwise, it would basically be a rock.
Yeah.
So,
no mention of maybe
that. A hoax, yeah. Oh, okay, now number 4. Now we get into the big one. The big one that is honestly a conspiracy within itself. Because there are people who will say that the moon is real, or they won't try to... they won't try to deny that the moon exists. They won't say it's not real, but they'll say that the moon landing is fake. And I believe that there are people who will say this who are slightly less...
crazy.
...out there than this guy. Basically.
Than our mad revisionist here.
Yes. So yeah, what about the moon landing that took place in 1969 and all the subsequent quote-unquote moon landings, which prompts me to ask, what other moon landings?
We went back.
But how many other times? He says this plurally. Like, how many times have we really gone back to the moon? Is he counting satellites?
No, I'm no expert. I believe 2 other times man missions to the moon, and they actually went on.
Those weren't as publicized, which makes you believe, like, why would they?
Well, I mean, because... it wasn't as big of a deal because it wasn't the first time, you know.
Exactly.
That's why, like,
it's not a big deal because the moon's been there.
that's because, like,
We've been
Buzz
there.
Aldrin gets all the credit. Like, there's always
Yeah.
that, you know, and he was just the
Yeah.
first one. But yeah, we went back.
Anyway.
It's been a while since we went back, but we did go back.
He goes into this by saying, yeah, like the satellites took pictures and telescopes can supposedly see it, as he would say.
Interestingly, he says that the photos of the moon landing are of poor quality. Meanwhile, a lot of conspiracy theorists about the moon landing think that the photos were too good to have taken place on the moon.
Yeah, so
he thinks that they weren't good enough. This guy is a bit of a photog, if you will. He has some issues with photography, but he does the basic thing, like, how do we really know that the pictures and films on the moon were taken on the moon? Could have been on a soundstage, blah, blah, blah.
No, because you gotta throw in this gem of a quote, because everyone knows that Hollywood is the mouthpiece of the controlled government.
Of course.
Soon we're talking about the USA here, because he doesn't clarify that. He says that all of the governments are
just
involved
government.
in this, but the USA is the mouthpiece for everything.
All the governments, all the institutions, all the religions, all the cults, everyone. Okay, and then this might be the best quote in this entire piece here. All of these spectacles were orchestrated by an organization called NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. A more criminal outfit has not been seen since the disbanding of the KGB. He's comparing NASA to the KGB. He's comparing NASA to espionage and war crime and God knows what else.
I mean,
Russian, hitmen.
to be fair, he says, keep in mind that 1969 was the height of the Cold War. Who were we at the Cold War with, We were in the Cold War with Russia. Really, I think the only difference between them comes between the fact, like, what is the motivation? What is NASA's motivation? What was the KGB's motivation? There are some similarities here. Astronauts.
KGB had a heavy hand in the space race.
That's what he's suggesting here, I think. It was due to this fact that the United States government was co-opted into the hoax by the New World Order. But see, what I'm not understanding here is, why would... So this is like a two-part hoax here. He's, not only does the moon not exist, but we're just gonna pretend to land on it. Like,
right.
It's like, let's just keep playing along with this, because the moon, this fake hoax. Why wouldn't Russia expose this, though? Because if all the governments are in on this, wouldn't the Russian government know that the moon is fake? And wouldn't they be like, hey...
All the governments are in on it, but they're also against each other as well.
So why wouldn't Russia be like, hey, they didn't land on the moon because there is no moon?
Right.
You think there'd be something...
You silly Americans believing in this moon, we will show you how the moon is not real.
And that's why we didn't make it there, because you are liars.
Yeah. Our rockets were A-bomb device,
Yeah.
But, some people believe that the moon landing was fake because the Americans wanted to win the space race. So we staged this whole thing, and so we said, we beat you there, even though it wasn't possible for rockets to be made to reach and survivability and blah, 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 blah.
And that's, the more reasonable idea of it.
Right, yeah.
So I guess we're going to get into some ideas as to details about why people think.
Yeah, because the moon landing on its own could have been its own series of episodes. You can devote your life to moon landing conspiracy theories. But luckily enough, while I was doing the research on this and I was taking a break, I went on Netflix, as most people do nowadays. And Netflix, funnily enough, recommended a great little gem of a documentary for me called Conspiracy Theory. Did we land on the moon? ? And so of course I had to watch it. So this covers a lot of the basic stuff. But I've kind of highlighted some of the sillier points here. An argument brought up in the documentary, and again, loosely calling it a documentary. I think it was actually a made-for-TV thing. You should watch it, because I think it's still on Netflix as of from
Uh,
this recording.
End of July of 2016.
Yeah, I watched it a couple months ago, but I think it should be still up there. When footage of the moon landing is sped up 2 times, the astronauts look as though they are moving on Earth. Right. Okay. But you had to speed it up. So that means that they're moving 2 times slower on the moon.
Which is proven by gravity and
Yeah, I don't know what the exact calculations of movement in low gravity, but like that's not a point against the moon landing just because you sped up the footage.
yeah.
I guess the point that they're trying to say is that the footage that was released was slowed down, but there's no way to prove that.
Yeah, I just don't. I guess it feeds all into this big. I miss maybe you can't believe that the moon landing was faked if you don't believe in the moon because that's just denying all the science. Like as in explaining how your mass is different on the moon and how gravity changes.
Yeah.
That's just denying all that.
The revisionist has I'm gonna look forward to that point when we get to that about his like what he thinks gravity can and can't do. It's so another common one. This is like probably the most common theory. There's no wind on the moon, but yet in the footage the American flag is waving. Suspicious.
Isn't that because he moved the flag?
1, he's moving the flag because he's touching it.
And that's how inertia and...
Yeah. 2, the way the flag... the way they brought it, so like it would always be... it would always be furled outwards.
Yeah.
It has a rod going up the side like you would see on a normal flag that you would wave at a parade or whatever.
Yeah.
It's also got a perpendicular rod through the top of the flag. So it's always folded out like
yeah.
So whenever you shake the rod, it's gonna the inertia of shaking it is gonna move the rod on top. That's why it's moving.
Science.
Yeah. But according to this documentary and the conspiracy theorists that they interviewed and guys like this, photos of the moon landing are quote perfect. Or revisionist doesn't think so. He thinks that they're shoddy. But a big deal with people was that like the framing of the shots was like, and like these professional photographers like, yeah, I don't know how they did it with these cameras mounted on their chests and the cameras mounted on the lander and everything. Like the framing is just perfect. Well, they cropped the photos afterwards to get the framing.
Yeah, I don't understand what the point there is supposed to be. Like they wouldn't just release like the...
Yeah, they released the best photos. They didn't release just
the
whole batch.
People really think they like took like 5, 10?
Right.
Like, I don't...
They released the best ones.
Yeah, they think the person who was handling the camera was like completely incompetent. Like,
right.
You know what you wanted pictures of. Like, this is a national thing. You're on the moon. You're not just gonna... Oh, sorry, this one's blurry, but it's on the moon.
Yeah.
That's when you start to think, like, did you really go to the moon? Like, they wanted to do a good, like, you were on the moon.
Yeah. Then this weird one. The documentary goes in to this point about how a bunch of astronauts that really had nothing to do with the moon landings, but some of them died in, like, mysterious circumstances, like weird car accidents and things like that. If you go on like Wikipedia, there's like there's a whole list. So these guys think that they just knew too much. They had to be taken out. NASA had to get rid of them. They knew about the fake moon landing, and they had to be rubbed out. There's no way that they could allow that to happen.
I just don't even know what to say to that. Like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
perhaps. Like, I don't.
NASA's the mob,
I mean, we'll get to that.
So this one is also hilarious. The desert of Nevada resembles the moon.
Because Hollywood sound stages are in Nevada.
But you know what is in Nevada?
Area 51.
Area 51. So, Area 51, it doesn't have crashed UFOs or alien technology or, genetic experiments. It's got the soundstage they used to film the moon landing. That's why it's so heavily guarded.
Because...
Not that it's a military installation.
But my question is, like, why wouldn't that get destroyed? Say that exists. Why would they keep that around?
Why would they keep it?
To further...
Yeah, it's almost like a museum. Yeah.
Further fake moon landings because with the increase, the advancement of technology and everything, you wouldn't build a better soundstage to match up with the
Right.
improvement of cameras. Like, we just got a good picture of Pluto. Oh, I would love to see the people denying Pluto. That we can get into that.
Yeah, I mean, Pluto's so far out there. How can you tell what's going on?
It's just some pixels. That's all you needed. We're sheep for believing that those pixels are Pluto all along. That someone made that in MS Paint. Gosh.
The next one was also great. The lunar lander and other related equipment are still on the moon's surface. But why can't we see them? We can. You just need a telescope. If you have a telescope powerful enough, and you can get consumer-grade telescopes that are powerful enough, you can see them. You just can't see them with the naked eye. Because I forget what the exact measurement, but the moon is not close to us.
Not at all.
So
it's just a matter of scaling. Like, if you that goes into the whole, like, why can't you see people if you see, like, an above picture of the Earth? Like,
yeah,
you can't see much besides some water and some land.
And buildings, like roads, you can see.
That depends on how far you zoom out on Google Earth. Like, if you go far away enough,
well, Google Earth is a computer simulation.
Okay, fair enough. But, like,
there are photographs, like those light photographs of, like, the cities, you know, like.
But you don't see people.
No.
You don't see people.
You know why? Because they look like ants.
Yeah, because of
what is
so
this?
Far away.
What is this? A world for ants?
Apparently.
Not only can you see the lunar lander and everything that had to be left behind on the moon, if you have a powerful enough telescope, you can see the footprints left behind by the people that walked on the moon. Because no gravity, no wind, they're still there.
Yeah.
You can see them.
Unless some alien came by and brushed them away, because they're also in on the hoax.
Oh, man.
And then it goes into the whole, the astronauts who are in on this, the ones who get all the credit for
right.
working on the moon. And the reasoning for this is, get this, NASA paid them off. Because getting to be the person who walked on the moon, getting the reputation for that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
They also had to be paid a great amount to lie this much, because lying this deeply is just taxing,
So they're paying them off, and they're also controlling them by fear of possibly murdering them in overly complicated car accidents. Like
we're
gonna
murder your family if you don't fake this.
Yeah.
Again, it just goes back to why.
Right.
Because we need to beat Russia in the space race, because this isn't even, these are not points from the documentary any longer. These are points from our revisionist here.
Correct.
So,
yes.
So this isn't even like a documentary. This is the guy who's saying the moon doesn't exist. So again, it's just, like, he doesn't provide a motivation. We can tell you, like, well, he goes into it a little bit, but not really.
Basically,
we could skip ahead to this, yeah.
Basically, his whole motivation for this entire thing is New World Order. The Illuminati. They're controlling us.
Yeah, what did he say? Yeah, the moon and subsequently the moon landings are nothing more than propaganda to siphon billions of dollars into the scam of quote-unquote space exploration.
He's just concerned about the taxpayer. He just wants to make sure that tax money is going to fruitful things, not like foolish space exploration.
He wants to make sure the money goes towards quote-unquote whatever nefarious purposes the government, the CIA, the Rosicrucians?
Rosicrucians, that's how I'd say that. I don't know. I'm not as familiar with that.
Yeah, and the Illuminati wish in their efforts to build a new world order.
If the Illuminati are in control, why do they need to build a new world order?
Like,
like, if they've already got it, if they've got us by the balls, why do they need to?
Yeah, I would just love to know, like, what he believes the Illuminati to be, because he just mentions these things.
Unfortunately, like, this seems to be his only sight. So this is the hill he's dying on. This is where he's planted his.
Again, this is why he could totally be a disgruntled NASA employee who's releasing a truth, because he's anonymous. But I would just love to see what he defines these as, and what he thinks that money should have gone to.
So he simultaneously believes NASA is like the KGB, and they're also just a front to like money launder cash
Where?
through.
But like, yeah, like where's this money going? Like, I would love to see what
He
like.
thinks it's going towards whatever the government or the CIA or the Illuminati needs. That's what.
I see. That's the thing. I would just love to see what he believes this new world order is. I would love to like
Right. Like,
get deeper.
it seems
into
like they've
this.
already got us. Why do they need a new world order? They've got us.
Yeah.
They're in control.
But going back to some previous points he made, because he didn't order these very well.
No.
He just kind of, I guess he just kind of thought of them, or maybe he had a conversation with someone like this and was like, why
some
do
of the
women
very
exist?
last points are people like not arguments, but like discussions he had with people that wrote into his site, I guess, and were either trying to give him some more ideas or were refuting his claims, you know.
Yeah.
So like I think 9, 10, 11, 12, when we get to that, are ideas like inspired by fans, I guess.
Yeah.
Number 6 was what about the moon rocks that the astronauts brought back? What about those moon rocks? Well, those are Earth rocks, they're not moon rocks. Because of course the Mad Revisionist has examined them.
I just can tell you.
And he's a geologist. He knows every type of rock, mineral, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'd love to get this quote in here, though. They are placed in modern-day churches known as science museums. Again, going with this hand-in-hand science and religion.
Science and religion are best buds.
Where the gullible public can gawk and worship them. I would love to meet the person who worships moon rocks.
Gosh, gotta pray to those moon rocks.
Because, I mean, even, like, Wiccans and, like, pagans who believe in, like, crystal energies aren't worshipping the rocks.
They just think they have powers or whatever.
It's, like, energies and stuff. I'm not gonna...
It's like the children of Adam from Fallout.
That's
like,
exactly where I was going. I was
worshipping
like,
the atom bomb.
Like
worshipping
they,
the moon
stroke
rocks.
it lovingly, like, oh, holy moon rocks.
Yeah. Like what?
I would love to meet those people.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, they're just regular rocks.
That's his whole argument there. They're Earth rocks. It's concrete. Might as well be concrete.
And then his final, no, not final. I'm sorry. Number 7 basically is that has the moon been mentioned in text and literature throughout history, and
So he brings up a line from Romeo and Juliet that mentions the inconstant moon, that month changes in her circled orb. He believes this to mean that since Juliet calls the moon inconstant, Juliet, and therefore Shakespeare, is questioning the entire existence of the moon, and is not making an obvious reference to the cycles of the moon and its changing appearance in the sky. But then he says something about, like, well, you know, Shakespeare's probably a hoax too, so whatever.
He's just okay. He does not believe in anything.
He goes from Shakespeare, like, being on his side to be like, nah, Shakespeare, like, he's a figment. He was made up by some government.
Or he was multiple people. We should get into that one.
We could. That's a good one. There's a lot of stuff. We could. She might have been Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, I love that he doesn't believe in anything. He denies the Holocaust. He denies religion, science. He denies Shakespeare, the moon landing. This guy's just nope.
Maybe he just believes in tinfoil. Maybe that's it. You know?
Maybe.
God. So he thinks that, like, even Shakespeare is just a fabrication of, like, this lunar conspiracy. Like, the same people that are faking the moon also fake Shakespeare.
Because they needed something to be like, hey, look, the moon has always been here.
Right.
But I would just love to know that this constant communication, like, hey, by the way, fake these texts now, so that people in the future will believe.
Hey, make this beautiful art that coincides with how we're going to rule the world 500 years from now.
Yeah,
Sure. Hey, there's going to be these things called holograms later on. Make them look like this. So describe this orb in the sky that'll look like these things 500 years from now.
That's not very science fiction-y. Too bad science is a hoax.
Maybe the aliens gave us holograms early on.
They time traveled.
They built the pyramids.
Oh, to line up with the moon. Whoa. Because that totally wasn't a whole chicken egg thing, you know.
He makes this other point that no piece of literature has ever stated that the moon is 2,160 miles in diameter, or like the moon's specific distance from the Earth. So literature can't be literature has no evidence for the moon because it doesn't give the specific mathematical data.
Writers are not mathematicians. No one.
Some of them are. You get somebody like a Thomas Pynchon who's very mathematical.
It's just not interesting. Like who? Like no one.
Numbers don't read well usually.
Yeah, like no one's gonna be like, oh, 2,160 miles. I can picture that exactly in my head.
Right. Like.
And I don't know when
literature is qualitative. It's not quantitative.
Yeah, like I'm like, he's basically saying that literature is a repeatable source.
Right.
When I would say that, like, you better further his point to be like, oh, well, you can't trust literature. Literature is fiction. That would almost support his claim better, but he
says no, you can't trust literature because it doesn't have hard mathematical data.
But if it did, you could trust it because fiction is whole otherworldly concept.
We talked about the motivations. That kind of goes nowhere. This is the first one of the points that was emailed into him, I guess. But the moon was worshipped by the ancients long before there was technology to create such a hoax? Question mark. It's a weirdly phrased question. It's not really a question. So he says that there's no mention of the moon in English until the year 1066. Coincidentally, the year 1066 is seen as the very end of what they call Old English,
which was indecipherable.
Yeah, today you can't read it. It's not really English. It's really its own language.
Yeah.
You could see the threads where it became English. But there was Middle English after Old English. Maybe ancient cultures didn't speak English.
Considering that English is a mishmash of like every other language out there.
Maybe the Egyptians, like people the Mayans, like maybe they didn't speak English, so they wouldn't have the English word for moon. Maybe.
This guy's just way too like America centric to even think of that. Yeah, like I don't.
That was the whole point there.
Yeah. And
his whole point was English. It doesn't make sense.
And he mentions that people asked him about the Bible, which, I mean, considering this guy calls religion a hoax.
And science.
Yeah, like this would not be the best guy to mention it. He just...
There's really nothing here. The quote he brings up was like, the moon stayed still until people stopped praying and then their enemies were smited or smote or whatever. So he's like, well, how could prayer keep the moon in place before it could continue on its cycles? That's his whole point about the Bible.
The guy doesn't understand religion.
Just wrote off the whole Bible because of that. Okay, 11. This one is hilarious. The tides of the oceans are created by the gravitational pull of the moon. Again, something you'll learn in elementary school. He makes no sense here. He's basically like, no, that doesn't make sense. How can the moon move all the water on Earth? It's too far away. Because
the moon has like arms and it's just like pushing it. That's working.
So like he's even saying like if the moon was real, it's too far away to do anything. Like this is nonsense. This is a fairy tale. So then he urges his viewers, and you too at home can do this. If you've got a rubber ball, suspend it above a bathtub that's filled with water. That ball will not affect the water in the tub. Just like the moon does not affect the oceans. What?
I think I can get what he's saying, because he's like, because you gotta remember he's equating the moon to a balloon in the sky.
Right.
And he also doesn't believe in gravity. That's basically what this comes down to.
He doesn't offer like how waves, how tide works. He just says, nah, it's not the moon.
It's not the moon. It's not the moon. That's all you know.
Yeah, it's just wind, magical wind.
And then, basically, since the last question he received was basically, you can refute all this evidence for the moon. Where's your proof? Like, where's your own proof that the moon doesn't exist? You're just like refuting proof. And he basically goes with the Socratic, Socrates, my favorite philosopher guy.
Socrates was an asshole. I'll say it.
And
I don't care.
He basically goes, well, what evidence is there that the moon exists? If you're asking me to prove that it doesn't exist, but you can't prove that it does exist, and therefore it doesn't.
This is his clincher. This is how he's going to conclude his piece. What? Well,
no, he goes into
this is his argument. Then you got to dig a little deeper into his site because he gives some photographic evidence. Now this is interesting, and again, you can go on his site and see the photos that he's working with here.
Yeah, we'll provide these links on our website.
Yeah, we can do that. So he says no photographs of the moon were ever taken until the 1850s. Okay, sure. Again, not cited. None of this has been cited. He has no sources here. According to my Wikipedia research, what was ostensibly the first camera, the daguerreotype, was developed in 1839. So, yeah, okay, it would make sense that there weren't really pictures of the moon until 1850. I'll buy it. Cameras had to be produced, and they had to refine the process, and people had to actually use them. So he provides a photograph apparently taken in 1852 by John Adams Whipple, which is a great name. He thinks that this photo is garbage. This is a poor quality photo. That this picture of the moon, it could be anything. It could be anything. It could be a particularly smooth,
unusually
round stone. Or, if you want
to someone's bald head. I don't know if you've ever seen a bald head. It is not perfectly round.
The moon's just a chrome dome, people. We've all been fooled. The moon has been somebody's bald ass head.
But you know what? Because it could be someone's head, we still require the help of self-appointed quote-unquote experts to tell us just exactly what we're looking at. Because if we couldn't look at that and see the moon, we'd be like, oh, you know what?
What is that? That's something called the moon. You ever heard of it? No. I don't believe that's real.
Which, I mean, honestly, just...
He thinks it's a bald head. A bald head. Can you imagine? Like, I've seen some shiny bald heads in my time. Can you imagine the shininess and the reflective quality a bald head would need to bounce the rays of the sun off of it and illuminate the moon, or illuminate the earth in the nighttime? Can you picture that bald head?
He's not suggesting that the moon is a bald head. He's suggesting this picture is a bald head. Which, if you just go into that, because this is before the time of Photoshop, you must have had to smudge some dirt on this guy's head to create these fake craters.
What kind of scaly looking bald head? What kind of reptile creature, man?
This is before the time of special effects makeup too, Or that's not true. Maybe I don't know when special effects makeup. I'm not an expert.
Well, I mean, this would be before
film and stuff.
It'd be before film.
Yeah, so this is the beginning of photography.
Yeah.
So yeah, I personally
considering
think these pictures are incredible.
Yeah, considering this is one of the first photos of anything ever, really.
Yeah.
It looks like the moon to me.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, just how would someone be able to fake the consistency of all that? I just don't. And then it's such poor quality. Have you seen some people even just a cell phone picture? It's difficult to capture the moon.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I just don't. Does he know what a cell phone is? This strikes me as one of those guys who doesn't believe in social media. So he probably hasn't seen anyone's million pictures of supermoons and stuff. We
got to bear in mind, we don't know when this site was put up. Because it looks like it was, created in 1995 with the way it's structured. We did fail to mention that. It's just basic HTML that you would do. Baby's first website. That's what it looks like.
People sometimes still post websites like that, though. So we really...
Sure.
I'm sure we could go into the metadata and find out, or do some data caching or something.
Yeah, we could, yeah.
But anyway, just think about cell phones struggle to take pictures. I personally am a photographer. I'm currently pursuing a degree in it. And the camera that I currently have and the lenses that I'm able to afford cannot get great pictures of the moon. It is very, very difficult to get a good picture of the moon.
Yeah, if you think about the moon, it's just this super bright object against a sea of black.
Which is
just the
incredibly.
contrast alone and the glow, and like you get a tractor in the glow off of clouds and like everything, like
It's
so.
very difficult to. So I can't believe what he's saying is this is so poor quality. You can't. He's like almost insulting them, like, "Oh, you want us to believe this poor quality?"
But he did the same thing with the lunar photos too. And if
Yeah,
you
I just.
like if you haven't seen them lately, or like you're not familiar, like go look at them. Like the qualities that NASA released at the time, they're stunning. Like the resolution alone, it's crazy.
That's where the people who say that they're too good
Right.
come in. Makes more sense than
People,
saying,
people believe they're too good. Like it's just incredible stuff. This second one, his whole point here is all the governments are in on it, so we can kind of skip that.
Yeah, it's about the he said called the far side of the moon, which is just I don't understand why he's acknowledging the far side of the moon if there is no moon.
Right.
Like I don't.
Yeah. Whatever. The next one though. So he's doing a sort of side by side comparison here. One photo is off of the NASA website. I don't know when that was, probably 1995. And then he's got a computer generated image of some spherical object in space. He thinks that they look strikingly similar. And I've got really bad news for him. They don't at all. For one thing, one of them's blue. One of them looks more like the Earth than one that clearly looks like the moon. The NASA photo looks like the moon. His looks like whatever the planet from Avatar was. I didn't see that movie, but...
But I also just want to know, computer-generated image below, like, computer-generated how? Like, did someone mold this to look like the moon? Like, there is no context
he doesn't,
given.
Yeah,
There's no source. Did you generate this? Did you just make this to look like the moon? And you're saying, oh, look, they're similar. Like, I don't...
He doesn't even say it's not a computer-generated image of the moon. He just says it's a computer-generated image, and it's some half-spherical object in the sky.
It looks like it has a lot... Yeah, I don't... No idea what
he would have been better off leaving that in his desktop folder and not putting that on the internet. And then the last photo he goes into is a painting titled "Women Under the Influence of the Moon." He does not give credit for the artist.
He says it's a 17th century French drawing. I'm sure if we were to Google that, we'd find something. Maybe we could actually quickly do that. You can do it, or me.
You can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I'll do it, and not even see if we can find a source.
If he found the photograph, it should not be hard to find.
No, you just Google it. Oh, I'm sorry. The first thing that pops up is a link called Moon Myths, the truth about lunar effects on you. Wow, see,
good stuff.
Whole other wormhole, but
So this photo must have been widely circulated in these circles of nut job.
Monotheism. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Nice.
I was looking for a source. I fell down another rabbit hole.
That's a good portmanteau if I've ever seen one.
We're gonna leave that alone. He goes on to say the establishment once told us the phase of the moon could affect the minds of human beings, especially of women. He does say that this is a myth, which
right. So he's
basically just denying the blatant misogyny of society here,
right?
But not saying that that's what he's doing. He's saying it's fake because the moon's not real, not because this is all women's lunacy, which is this is where the word
comes from. Yeah. And also, if you just want to branch off, like the other, like hysteria was a very misogynistic. Women went insane just because they had uteruses was where hysteria came from.
Women's emotions are insanity, clearly.
Right.
Not anything to do with it. We're not going to get into that. We don't need to. You don't need my rants.
It's just nonsense stuff. But but modern science has debunked. You know, he believes that modern science debunking the moon, making people crazy, turning them into werewolves or whatever. You know, lunacy. Mm-hmm. He thinks that science debunking that is them like backpedaling, like they're up against a wall, like, oh, of course that's not true. You know, the moon is real, but like the moon doesn't make you go crazy. Like that's his argument here. What?
That might actually be the thing that makes the most sense to me that he's had to say.
Because, I think it's the least.
I think I see where he's getting at here. I think he's like, I think this is where he's saying that like the threads of this whole big operation unraveling. Don't
He
get
thinks
me wrong.
he thinks he's pulled the curtain here. Meanwhile, he's just like, this is just what science has discovered. Mental health has had advances.
He's like, I see what he's trying to say. I'm not agreeing with him, and I think it's still a reach, but he's basically saying that, like, like
it took me a while to even like formulate my notes into like, so I could explain what his thing is. So I think it's like his weakest point.
I'm not saying it's a strong point. I think I just get what he's saying.
I think it makes the least sense, but maybe that's just me. So yeah, like knowledge of moon myths apparently increases, or like weakens claims that the moon is real, just by existing. So the myths exist, so the moon can't exist. Sure, fine, whatever. So that's
that's a summary of all that our Mad Revisionist really has to say.
And
but we have some other sources because there is plenty out there you can find those. We just basically
this really is just the surface of the fake moon truthers.
This is like some of the best sites that we found. We have another one here, ufoholic.com, which gotta give props to that title. That's a great title. They also have a great header. But then again, this is from
I have a feeling we'll be seeing these guys again.
Because this one was published on November 18th, 2015, less than a year ago.
Just a few. That's like what, 6 months? That's half a year ago. This is current stuff.
This is an article by this website titled "Do You Believe the Moon is Real?" Because analysis shows it might be a hologram.
It might be a hologram.
This is such a clickbaity title. I can't even.
I had to do it. I saw it on Google. I had to do it.
You had to click.
And I was
search engine optimization.
I was not disappointed. I was not. So this is basically an article that's relaying information from a YouTube video, and you could watch the YouTube video. It is still up. And I checked before we recorded. It is still up. It's on YouTube. Updated moon hologram. The moon is not what you think, and it's about 30 seconds long. So if you want to go into this a little bit, is there a title, or is there? Oh yeah, the writer of this is The Explorer, which is a little dark and mysterious, I think.
Yeah, I'm liking his alias there.
Yeah, I think his is probably more alluring than the Mad Revisionist.
Because the Revisionist almost it's pretty self-explanatory. He's a revisionist explorer.
Right.
What are we exploring here? Are we exploring knowledge, or is this?
He's exploring the truth, because the truth is out there. It's out there. You gotta find it. You gotta.
Is there?
You gotta hunt for the truth.
So that's what
the explorer does. If you want to get into this a little bit, a new theory has emerged after more people analyzing the moon using high-definition telescopic cameras saw that the image they were receiving through the scope was perturbed by what they call a lunar wave. Now, the creator of the YouTube video, the guy that posted the supposed YouTube video that shows this lunar wave, goes by the name of Mr. Crow, because of course he does. According to the Explorer, Mr. Crow did a great job in capturing this moment, along with 11 other people. I couldn't find...
11 other people?
11 other people. They weren't cited.
Anonymous.
He links through to Mr. Crow, but he does not...
11 other people weren't as good.
I guess not. He claims that the lunar wave is an anomaly usually encountered while projecting an image, thus speculating about the possibility of the moon being an actual hologram. The wording there is funny, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little confused about what he's saying there, but this whole article is kind of confusing.
He's saying that the lunar wave, basically saying the lunar wave is a result of projecting an image. So like the lunar wave is just a side effect of a hologram being in the sky.
I guess the issue here is that the word lunar is used.
Right.
The word lunar is being used to describe a common hologram effect, and it happens to be talking about the moon, so it's a bit...
Okay. Yeah. Well, if it's like a 30-second video, if you want to quickly just watch it while I'm going on. Because you see something in the video. In fact, I might actually... Oh, it's longer than I thought. Never mind, I've seen it. But you can go ahead and if you want to keep that on the background. At first, the malformation of the camera was considered, but...
I'm sorry. This is an updated moon hologram.
Yes.
This is updated.
Yes.
So this is
This was examined further. Yes.
And this is it's a recent revisit.
A revision, if you will allow.
Gosh, I'm sorry, just that intro. I have admittedly I've taken one animation class, and I just was blown away at the. Oh, I'm sorry. He's also misattributing the guy. He's not named Mr. Crow. With the this guy is Crrow.
Oh, Zero.
Crow.
Crow.
Crow. I don't know. But this was an amazing. I'm sorry. I just had to take a moment. There's a hawk flying. Oh,
well, he's got good branding. He's got better branding than we do.
I
You gotta
guess
give him that.
so.
Oh man. So at first the malfunction of the camera was considered, but after analyzing the bizarre phenomenon for a couple of weeks, he concluded that the line interfering with the moon's surface is not due to, quote, pixelation or shredding of the signal, but it's an actual, quote, organic line. They don't really go into explain what they mean by organic line, but if you watch the YouTube video, you can see what they're referring to.
Yeah, what I'm seeing
is a scan line on a screen, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
it's a scan line. It's something that happens like to displays or whenever you film a display.
Okay, so now I understand what a lunar wave is. It's just funny that it's called a lunar wave.
Yeah.
They're talking about the moon.
If you think back to like a TV show from the 90s or the early 2000s, whatever they were trying to capture CRT TVs or like a computer screen, and you'd see that flickering.
Yeah.
That's a scan line. It's like tracking on a VCR.
You can still see it if you poorly plug in an electronic, like a PlayStation or something, and it's not properly. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it.
It's a scan line on a screen.
It's just basically a guy using a visual effect on a bunch of pictures of the moon.
Yeah.
Because
or his camera display is misbehaving. They say that it's not, but malfunction of the camera is considered. Okay, so they just threw that away. Mr. Explorer continues. If the projection comes from space or from planet Earth, we are yet to find out. But current analysis only point towards the obvious anomaly known as the lunar wave, and a few more evidence revealed by some Russian scientists. Those Russians, back at it again.
He's trying to say that the line doesn't warp the rest of the screen, but you have to keep in mind the rest of the screen
is black,
so you wouldn't be able to see anything anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look, it perfectly ripples at the moon.
The moon is the only object on the screen in black.
Which is, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't...
So hold on. So Mr. Explorer, though, I think even though his syntax is a little off, I think he's, by and large, a better journalist, let's say, than the revisionist. Because he goes on, known as a reliable source when it comes to UFO disclosure. Okay. Sure. Fine. Revealing never-before-seen footage of chemplanes and orb UFOs. Alright, sure, fine, whatever. Mr. Crow tries to solve the lunar mystery. Mr. Crow, he said the following. Quote, I have been at this for a long time, and I have been relentless in my search and in filming and observing the moon and everything that happens, and it is true. From the people I have talked to, and there are other people talking about the moon being a hologram, and quite a few people are aware of this. Okay. Got any names? You got any other sources?
Well, I mean, after this...
talk to some dudes?
After the groundbreaking footage was released, Mr. Crow tells us how he's been contacted by 3 individuals occupying positions allowing them to have access to extended knowledge about things that are normally forbidden to the rest of the population.
Sure.
What things?
Okay. Alright, let's follow this a little bit. Let's say that they're legit. That they know what they're talking about. And that obviously their names cannot be revealed, otherwise NASA or the Illuminati would chop their heads off. You know. Don't even give us their titles or their positions. Anything. That they just occupy positions.
These are like the IRS calls you get, like...
right.
I'm with the IRS.
It's like, yeah, like, what's your title, sir? Boss man.
Yeah, like,
My name's Mr. IRS.
Yeah, like it's, oh my gosh. He also received critics and defamation, defaming interpretations of his work.
I hate to correct you, though, but you skipped a great point here.
Oh.
He was told that he was on the right track. So these secret sources told Mr. Crow that he was onto something, that he should keep digging, I guess.
This is like, oh my gosh. Do you remember that one show we went to where the guy was trying to flirt with the girl from the band, and the people around him were just like, "Oh man, buddy, good luck, nice try there."
Oh, yeah.
Completely mocking him, like, "Oh yeah, you're on the right track there."
Yeah.
That's exactly what that reminded me of. It's like, oh yeah, keep going. Just I hate the word trolling, but like that's.
As you mentioned, he received some critics and he was defamed a little bit. You know, maybe some slander or libel going on.
But he has a theory that backs up his thing. He's not just saying it's a hologram. He has a blown out theory about this.
It's upsetting that Mr. Crow is perhaps the most reasonable of the characters we've encountered so far.
He's rational and well educated, according to our explorer.
Right. Again, you know, doesn't talk about his qualifications, but he's well educated, so he's got that going for him.
That's actually grammar. That's not how you would say well educated, but you know.
No.
Ah.
Mr. Crow tries to explain his theory. My guess is that when the moon is in its quarter phases, or slivers, or other things, you're actually looking at the moon. I think that when it starts to get full or well lit on the face, it's interesting that he used the word the face.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a man in that moon?
Cool.
Are there many men in that moon?
Is it made of cheese?
Let's continue on. When it starts to get full or well lit on the face, they cover it with a hologram so we can't see what they are doing under there. What are they doing under there?
Underneath the hologram.
What are they up to?
I don't think people understand how holograms work.
What are they up to up there? I'm kind of imagining Walter White and Jesse Pinkman cooking meth under the guise of the laundromat or the pest control. They would smoke bomb the houses.
Yeah, I just.
That's how I'm picturing them. Just nobody knows what's going on underneath that.
It's not what you think it is.
It's not what you think it is. I could tell you that it's not just a rock in space. There's a lot going on up there. What's going on up there? I'm curious, Mr. Crow. What is going on up there? What are they hiding? What are they hiding? Okay, and then Mr. Explorer, he loses me a little bit here. He says, after the space analyst, I guess referring to Mr. Crow, made his recording of the lunar wave public, i.e. posted it on YouTube, he was confronted with a research paper written by Russian scientists who point in the same direction. Okay, one thing, if he was confronted and they agree with him, I don't think he's being confronted. Anyway.
Yeah.
Does not link at all to the paper written by these Russian scientists.
Or say which direction. Is it that they're doing something on the moon, or that it's a hologram? Like, which of these directions? Because there's a few directions we're heading in.
The direction of the moon. The direction of the moon. You could tell. It's like the North Star.
And then it goes, could this prove to be real? Is the moon, in fact, a colossal artificial space station with the rest of the solar system being a forgery as well?
Quite a leap.
Quite a leap. Nowhere does...
The Explorer makes quite a leap.
Mr. Crow says nothing of an artificial space station. He just says they're doing something up there.
Something's going on under that hologram.
They could be drilling for oil. He gives no indication as to what they're doing.
Space oil.
But then
the rest of the solar system is a forgery as well. We could even extrapolate that, because we've seen satellite imagery from beyond our solar system, past the asteroid belt, all that crap, past Pluto. So the whole universe. It's a forgery.
You're all fake.
What's going on out there? We can't reach Pluto, but there's men out there past Pluto.
But there are men doing things on the moon.
Doing something up there. So, if it's a hologram, why is it only a hologram when it's full? So when we see a crescent moon...
I know, I think I get that's what he's saying. When it gets full or well lit, they cover so that you can't see what... Like they're doing something on the dark part whenever it's like a crescent, I think is what he's getting at.
Okay.
It's like almost like they're running out of space.
But then what's the crescent, like how is...
He's not saying anything about what the phases of the moon are, or like how they work or anything. He's
Right.
saying that like they work in the darkness of the moon, and then when their cover is about to be blown,
This
they
hologram.
just blow up this hologram. Why don't they
This hologram
use a
is
hologram the entire time?
right.
Doesn't say that, but I think that's what
I think he's trying to make himself sound more believable by saying that the hologram's not always there. You know.
Yeah, but maybe that's probably.
But
what it is.
this hologram is so powerful that it's able to mimic the rays of the sun bouncing off of the moon, and that it matches the crescent or the quarter moon so well that you cannot see. It's like a seam where the moon ends and or the shadow of the moon begins and the hologram begins. You know, like
But I mean, even Mr. Explorer says that none of this is conclusive. We can only hope that Mr. Crow will eventually find conclusive evidence to support his theory. I'm sorry. But for the time being, let's enjoy the mighty moon as it is, as Earth's natural satellite, and maybe who knows. This explorer, man, he doesn't know what to believe. He's hoping.
he's exploring all options.
He's an agnostic here.
That's true.
Yeah. He's not committing to any theories. He's saying
he brings up the point that the moon could be real, or the entire universe is a forgery.
But we don't know, so let's just not think about it, you know? Let's just enjoy it as it is.
And then there's the middle ground, Mr. Crow. The moon is sometimes real and sometimes it's a hologram. What are they doing up there? What are they up to?
It's an artificial space station. Yeah, see, again with
what are they doing up there?
Why is it, I don't...
What are they hiding? Nukes? Moon nukes?
I mean, if you get into the comment section here, which I don't think we should actually know.
I was going to, but it's struggling to load on my tablet, so if you want to handle that.
We have some suggestions in the comments, not our comments.
The comments on ufoholic.com.
People, there are no trolls in this comment section, whether that's been monitored or if this
or they're just really convincing.
Yeah.
They might be some grading trolls.
So we have some suggestions. Brian C. McDonald's, who has it?
The first real name we've encountered, actually.
It is.
Perhaps.
So what he thinks, the moon is in fact an alien base.
Cool.
And this lunar wave, quote unquote, that we see, hologram or not, he's also not committing to any terms or
perhaps it's a force field protecting.
But he's saying that it is a mask over what the moon really is to hide the real features of the moon. He does not provide any explanation why. He doesn't say exactly why the real features would be, because I guess the real features are what, aliens? I'm not exactly
alien
sure.
Structures, yeah.
He goes on to say, if there are in fact aliens on/in, I'm loving that little, they could be in there, in the moon. And
mole people. Moon mole people.
No, it's not the moon mole people. This is a proper noun. He made this a proper noun. The elite.
Oh.
Is in fact hiding.
Like from Halo. The elites from Halo are hiding in the moon.
It would be entirely possible and logical for them to create a hologram over the moon, especially with our increasingly powerful telescopes and more people being able to observe more detail at will. I guess he's saying that it became a necessity because people were going to catch on.
People were getting too smart.
So we needed...
Technology was getting too powerful.
There's little plot holes here because it's covering the real features. I guess he's not talking about the craters. He's talking about
the installations. Yeah,
because I'm why would they fake what the moon looks like?
The satellite dishes
I'm taking his wording a little too literally.
I think that dude has played a little too much Halo.
Yeah,
he's been hanging out with the Arbiter.
Oh my gosh, the elite probably had already thought that with advancements in technologies and more powerful telescopes that eventually anyone would be able to see the surface. So they planned ahead.
Oh,
they knew this was coming.
I see.
Because we haven't been back to the moon in over 40 years, and I believe that cost has nothing to do with it when the government spends the money on a lot less important things. So he doesn't say that the moon landing is fake. He thinks we've been there. But he thinks it's because we're afraid of aliens. Not because we can't afford it. I believe the fact is aliens are there. We are not welcome, and either the elite, whoever these elite are, themselves, aliens, or both, have created this hologram as to keep secrets. So not only are we not welcome on the moon, but we are so not welcome that the aliens helped us construct this hologram so that we would stay away. It's listen, man, we're not friends. We're not friends, but we're gonna help you out because we don't want you here. We don't want your rogue humans coming up here and messing with our operation.
So let's follow this a little bit. So he thinks we did land on the moon. So the astronaut, did they encounter the aliens? Were the aliens hiding? Were they, like,
Were we there before
did
them?
the
They
astronaut...
kicked us out. They
Right.
kicked over our American flag. Is that why it's a hologram? They don't want us to know that actually the
Mm.
flag is gone.
Or the astronauts landed there, they saw the aliens, didn't take any photos, and they kept quiet about it.
The aliens replaced the astronauts.
Oh.
Buzz Aldrin never left the moon.
Whoa.
It is a clone
Whoa.
that came back. They possessed their bodies.
Whoa.
You know what, man? We're gonna keep our own theories to ourselves because Abigailon replied to Brian C. McDonald and said,
I'm still reeling from Buzz Aldrin being
You
a reptile
didn't
man.
Think of that. You didn't
Being
think
a
of
reptile man. Oh man.
Abigailon goes on to say, I was just going to make that same statement. Indeed, it is a projected camouflage over the surface to hide the activity. I think that is actually the best way to word that.
Yeah.
Projected camouflage.
Does she go into what the activity is?
No.
Just there's activity.
On the website, The Living Moon, all caps,
Mm.
a gentleman described what he saw through his high-powered telescope one night. He said that for a matter of about 2 minutes, the entire face of the moon changed, revealing structures, lights, roads, bridges, machinery. Wow, the aliens are eerily similar to humans. I wonder if they even speak English.
Hey.
If Buzz Aldrin was up there, he taught them.
The ancients spoke English. They just didn't have a word for moon. The word moon wasn't invented until 1066, don't you remember?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Abigailon says, but this was covered up in a flash. Like someone rolled a window up like a wave, because the movement of a window is similar to that of a wave.
Or the Men in Black mind wipe device.
Yeah, this is the lunar wave. And then goes on to repeat holographic camouflage technology.
I think that dude was looking at the telescope too long. Or maybe a plane went past his view.
I'm not
saw some blinking lights.
Yeah, what happened there?
He saw some cities in the moon. Moon cities.
He saw highways.
Highways?
Structures, lights, roads, bridges. That must be a high-powered telescope, man.
Yeah, wow.
And then the two other comments. One seems kind of like a skeptic. Anyone care to explain what a mechanism by which a hologram can raise tides? Yeah, that's someone like, what do you...
That's a refute.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call him a troll because he's
just asking.
He's got a legitimate...
I think he's confused here because he's believing that these people are saying the moon isn't real at all. And that's not what they're saying.
Right.
They're saying we're just...
He might have come from the revisionist.
He might have. He's still caught on the moon's not real.
Yeah.
And then another comment here, George Blads. I'm not sure. I'm sorry for butchering your name, George.
Oh, you know he's tuning in. You know it.
According to Buddhism, whole reality of ours is a kind of illusion, or if you like, a hologram. From this viewpoint, the moon may also be regarded as an illusion or hologram. So what he's saying basically is the whole Socratic thing. It's like, you can't prove that everything in life isn't a hologram. So the moon must be a hologram as well.
There are theories, like scientists say, like, well, we don't know that we're not in a simulation because the simulation is so realistic. You know, there's a higher species above us. We're just a game to them. We're like the Sims, basically, to them. Yeah. So that's, I guess, just the more metaphysical stance on that idea. We might get into stuff like that eventually.
Once we get deeper into get past these basic entry level conspiracy theories, if you will. And then we have one last little tidbit. This is just fun. You gotta go to your favorite source, the Yahoo Answers. Got a question from an believe that these are all now deleted accounts because there are no names any longer.
Sure. Does it have the date? I don't have the date on.
The one comment says 6 years ago.
Okay, so yeah, I see that as well.
These comments are all saying 6 years ago, so
the question was at least 6 years ago.
The last comment was 2 years ago.
So the question itself was at least 6 years old.
The question is no punctuation here. Yeah. Did the moon
incorrect
exist in the 90s? I hate the moon. Did the moon exist in the 90s is a statement. I hate the moon is the question.
That's the question.
The best answer is, yeah, well, I don't think the moon likes you either. But then we have our theories here. Anonymous source again. The moon only appeared about 5 years ago.
So, at the
6 years
time,
ago,
so that would be 11 years ago, so
2005.
2005.
It wasn't here in the 90s. I hate the moon too. Why do you hate the moon? I hate the moon because I love cheese and the moon is too far away to eat.
Oops, troll. Oh.
It feels like a children's book. You hate the moon? I hate the moon. Why do you hate the moon? It's like, explain your feelings.
Good night, moon, that I hate.
Because it is cheese.
How does the revisionist feel about Good Night, Moon?
You know, it's
just
the elite.
Perpetrating that myth?
Yeah,
that moon myth?
Then we actually get a serious commenter. I was a young child in the 90s. I definitely remember the moon. When I was 7, I even remember first hearing about, in quotes, phases of the moon, and I thought they were called faces of the moon. Oh, what a cute little anecdote that was. I'm enjoying this commenter. Her name is Gin Table. Gin Table?
I'm going to say gin table, and she got a table full of gin.
Yeah. It goes on to state some facts. The moon is estimated to be about 4 billion years old, and perhaps with the Earth formed at the same time. The entire solar system formed about 4.6 billion years ago.
Unless the entire solar system is a hoax.
I mean, she doesn't give any sources, but we can just believe in Gin Table.
Mm-hmm.
Then someone has some other... Oh, the old cynic. Oh, see, this is how you know the moon's real. The old cynic says, the moon was definitely there in the 1990s. I remember it well. Indeed, it was there in the 1970s, as there was a song called Under the Moon of Love. And in the 1960s, there was a song called Blue Moon.
The Frank Sinatra rendition, which of course can be heard in Fallout New Vegas. Second Fallout reference, had to do it.
Yeah, where you can also drag some aliens, some followers of Adam, to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get the aliens back, see, because they're sick of being Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin, their human suit died, and they were like, you gotta send us back.
Is Buzz Aldrin a ghoul under there?
Oh, man.
Is he a ghoul?
Radiation, all that radiation on the moon, that's what they're hiding. The old cynic goes on, in his old cynic ways. I'm not sure there's anything to be gained from hating the moon. I would channel my emotions to something more productive.
Perhaps a podcast.
As a cynic would. And then Chris says, 6 years ago, without the moon, no tides. So if you live in a house lower than the high tide line, I could see why you'd have a problem with it. Well, see, this guy's trying to understand the anger towards the moon.
Well, because our questioner, he doesn't really offer much in the way of context or...
No, but this commenter keeps offering other. If you were a lycanthrope, a werewolf.
If you're a wolf man.
I could see why it might bug you.
If the moon gets full, you get a little hairy.
I could see why it might bug you. I can't think of any other reasons you'd hit a harmless inanimate object that's millions of clicks away. Clicks? What a
must be a military man, Chris.
Yeah, what a unit of measurement that is. Then I can't think like you, because with a question like that, you're not the full quid, and I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. But boy, you boggle my mind.
I think that's a great place to end. I love how Chris calls the moon inanimate. Because it moves on its own. Like, as someone that believes in the moon and cares for the moon very much.
Is the moon moving or is the moon being moved?
See, I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
I
just know that the moon...
gravitational poles work together.
Yeah.
This is us just talking.
Well, it's all... Isn't the sun moving all of them?
That's what I'm saying. I think so. Technically... You can make the argument that it's an inanimate object. That's not the real argument here.
I just think that the use of inanimate was interesting, you know?
Yeah,
I recognize that the moon does not have sentience. I think that's a great place to end it. We can continue to go into moon landing stuff. We'd be here.
We don't have the research prepared for you.
We'd be here for days, anyway, if we did that.
But yeah, we will be back. Cannot give you a definite
I was thinking monthly.
Monthly? We could do some research.
Yeah, I was thinking monthly.
Come back.
But yeah, this was the first episode of It Doesn't Add Up. We thank you very much for listening.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we were shooting for.
We were shooting for the moon.
Ooh. Did we land in the stars? We gotta find out. We'll need some feedback. If you have feedback for us,
We'd
Let
love
us
to hear
know.
it. If we're boring, if we're too quiet. A lot of
I
volume.
don't think, yeah. I don't think we were too quiet, actually.
I'd like to hear about volume. If you have any suggestions for theories you'd
If
like us to explore,
yes.
we really don't want to talk about Holocaust deniers. Like,
No.
let's go with more like the whole things that you could talk about at the dinner table without like
Offending, you know?
Well, I just don't want to acknowledge stuff like that. Like personally,
No.
I don't want to even think about people saying that stuff.
No.
So let's
So we're gonna deny the deniers, if you will.
basically like I don't want to
Yeah.
acknowledge that people think that stuff.
But yeah, if you have an interesting
I think-
conspiracy theory for us, best way to get that to us is you can send me an email at deadendroad87@gmail.com. Or if you just, if you want to comment on today's theory, if something piqued your interest, if you have
Yeah.
some more insight, we would love to hear it and we could talk about it on next episode.
Yeah, we'll be responsive. We love interaction.
Yeah, or you can talk to me on Twitter. It's just at deadendroad. I'm always on there. I'm on there too much, actually.
More than
So.
texting. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to send me that there.
So yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back. Hope you enjoyed. If not, let us know, honestly.
Yeah, you should be. The way this is going to work is it's going to be posted on my WordPress, which will be deadendroadblog.wordpress.com. For the time being, I might be getting an actual domain, so stay tuned for that. There'll be links. It'll have that doesn't add up as a link. There's going to be an RSS feed. Hopefully, if it doesn't, get screwed up, it should be on iTunes and podcast services as well.
So yeah, we'll be around.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, and we should probably be doing radio again soon.
Yeah,
because
if
I've been wanting to.
Just enjoyed us and our banter, which actually we didn't do much banter this time. We normally
There was a good amount of banter. We
normally I don't know if you like that whole jokey kind of vibe, you can check out our radio show if you're interested in.
Yeah, if you want to hear some older shows, that's mixcloud.com/deadendroad.
We
There's
play a lot
ton
of
them there.
alternative music, alternative rock. That's a very
It's-
vague
It's very broad.
descriptor. We don't do
A lot of independent kind of punk stuff.
and most things that would fall under the genre of rock in a very broad sense.
Yeah.
Like we're not country, we're not rap, we're not pop. So
Yeah.
I'd label us rock if you're going by those big descriptors.
Yeah, so you can find that all there, or if you just want to follow my Twitter, links are all over the place.
Or if you like video games, we do that.
Yeah, we'll be doing that again soon. We took a little break for a few months with
Not
that.
from playing, but
Not from playing, no, just
not
streaming.
playing.
Yeah, we play lots of RPGs and co-op games and all kinds of stuff.
And yeah, we'd love to.
We can talk about the moon in the Twitch chat.
Yeah,
We could do that too.
casual doesn't have to be all polished. Just
Nah.
hang out with us.
Yeah.
Talk about our thoughts. So yeah, thank you for listening. It's been a great night. So we will be seeing you.
All right. Yeah.
Talking at you.
Yeah. If you never show up again. That's cool too. I don't care.
It's
I mean, I
good.
care a little bit, but it's all right. I don't hold grudges. I do, but I won't. You know.
You won't know about it.
Nah. It's just silent anger.
Because
All right.
boy, you boggle my mind.